Aloha, it's Adam here again with another episode of Grow to Great podcast. Thanks so much for joining me today. This is definitely a passion of mine. I'm here to really help out with fellow home service business owners and see if I can offer some insights on how to really master your marketing, really get to the bottom of what it takes to scale and grow your business. I know a lot of you out there are stuck trying to figure out ways to grow your business and running into the wrong marketing partners and things like that. So today's episode is really about that. It's called The Agency Trap. I don't know if you've hired an agency before. That may be why you're here. It's your pain. Maybe you've dealt with some of the issues out there from everything from retainers and long-term contracts and underperforming marketing or expensive tools. There's a whole long list of things that we could get into that make it difficult for home service businesses like owners like us to actually take control of our marketing and really master what it is that we need to do in order to grow. You probably tried some things on your own, perhaps, either hiring internally or hiring freelancers. In a couple other episodes, I'll cover some of that, everything from how to hire freelancers or steps you can take. My goal here is really to just share with you tips that have worked really well for me in growing my own business. Actually, I've managed to quadruple my business over the last couple of years, so hopefully those insights will be helpful for you. And if you get a chance, of course, subscribe, follow, share, all that fun stuff. But let's dive into it real quick here. I just want to walk you through what I've got and share with you why you should be listening today. Today on this podcast, we'll talk really about a couple things. Namely, the first thing we need to do is what are the risks? Let's talk a little bit about what the risks are of hiring an agency. I know it seems like a logical thing to do, to hire marketing experts or so-called marketing experts and hope that they can free you up so you can not only run your own business, but also have the time that you need to enjoy your life. That's the whole reason you work your ass off. And sometimes just our business runs us. We don't run our business. So picking and identifying what those risks are is really a key step in determining how to select the right marketing partners. And that's something I want to cover here today. I'm going to talk real quickly about, I identified 6 very clear tricks, really, frankly, that agencies use that they just don't want you to know. So I'll walk you through those. Hopefully they'll be interesting. Maybe you've experienced it before. I know certainly I have, but these are things they don't want you to think about before you sign that retainer and go ahead and get started. Another thing I'll do is I'll walk through a couple steps, 5 steps here of how to avoid getting ripped off, how to identify things that you think may be red flags and choosing the right partner. But there's some real clear indicators that you should be wary of. Like I said, these are all based on firsthand experience. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars over the last couple of years getting burned a couple times, and I want you to avoid that as well. Let's also talk about those red flags. How we're going to spot a bad agency before it's too late. There's a couple real clear indicators there, and I want to share those with you. Again, like I said, you may have seen these already, but if we can pool our heads together as home service business owners and prevent some of that stuff, that'd be a good thing to do, I think. And then I think more importantly, let's start getting to the solution, which is a smarter way to actually get clients. You can hire an agency, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of stuff to be done there, but it's really about making sure that you're getting in the right situation in a way that works for you, for your business model, for how you plan on growing. Someone who really thinks about your business holistically and can help you get to where you want to be, which is really ultimately more freedom, more money, more time, all that kind of good stuff. So let's dive in here a little bit deeper. Let's just talk about what I call the agency trap. High percentage, pretty much most people I talk to who are small business owners really have had a bad agency experience. And a lot of them, the statistics show, I have here 62% of businesses even regret it. So it's flat out, what the hell was I doing? I didn't know what I was doing. I picked the wrong partner, but this is a very common thing I think we've seen. Like I said, I've seen personally. And what can we do more importantly to avoid getting in that situation in the first place? So I think the number one thing that blows me away is the idea of paying up front. So a lot of agencies are going to want a retainer. They're going to probably want a contract, if more than likely, probably want like an annual contract. And they'll do that under the guise of telling you that we need time to see our results work and for all our stuff to kick in and stuff. To me, that's just not a good game plan. And I think it's really important that you should pay for what you get. What a novel concept, right? As home service business owners, we don't pay our employees before they do the work or even expect customers to pay us for work that we haven't done. So I don't know how the agency model became what it is, but this is definitely a problem. And then the bigger issue is just there's no guarantee of those issues of those results that you're expecting to see. You could see a phenomenal sales pitch. You could be promised the world and all kinds of bells and whistles and fancy marketing pitches and sales pitches. But at the end of the day, What you might find as you get under the hood and you start seeing what their actual process is, that there really is minimal accountability. There's certainly not a lot of guarantees. There may be some, you don't pay if we don't get you 30 clients or some crap like that. But I just feel that you should be paying in accordance with what you're being sold when you first meet these people. And if you want a refund, I don't know if you've been lucky enough to get one, but that's definitely going to be off the table more than likely. Even if you haven't signed a long-term contract, making sure that you are eligible for refund in the event that those agencies don't perform, that's something we definitely need to be wary of, and I want to talk about and show you how to do that. I say here that most agencies act like predators, and I'm not being dramatic by saying that. I really feel like there's a lot of agencies out there who don't really view you as a partner. They view you as an opportunity to make that money, to make that retainer, whether it's $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, whatever the heck it is. They're just more interested, in my experience, collecting that money, doing enough to keep you above board. And in some ways, they even keep it a little obscure, a little bit opaque about what it is that they're doing. They don't tell you what they're working on or how much time they're spending or which junior people or offshore resources are working on your project. And so I just don't feel like that's in good faith. I think that feels very predatorial. They're not making adjustments based on the ups and downs of your business. It's really more just saying, hey, look, let's lock these people in. Let's get our money out of them. And then if we get results, great. Of course, that'd be good for everybody. But even still, most agencies I've run into are just not going to look at you as a true partner and frankly have that home service business expertise that we all need. There's whatever your business is, whether it's roofing or cleaning or HVAC or carpet or whatever the heck it is, they need to understand what your business is and how the seasonality works and all the other things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. We have enough to do without having to manage and micromanage and chase down marketing partners who just want to get their tasks done and aren't really focused on the important thing, which in my view is revenue and growth. That's definitely where you need to be. I put here my HubSpot nightmare. I'll take 2 seconds to share a story with you. And again, part of my inspiration for even doing this was one agency that I worked with about a year ago. I went through, frankly, I won't lie, I went through a pretty good long list of candidates, and I thought I was being super smart and picking the right one and vetting different agencies. And I picked a pretty down-to-earth, I don't know, Southeast style, very personal and not very technically advanced per se, but really just more about partnership. I was looking for someone who I thought would care about my business. Not only did I make the mistake of entering into an annual contract, which I was subsequently able to get out of, thank God of, but they also wound up selling me HubSpot, which, as you may or may not know, it's a very powerful CRM. Don't get me wrong. If you're a larger organization and you've got multiple employees and resources who can handle management of that platform, then it's a very powerful platform. So I wasn't opposed to that, and having done marketing a long time for myself, I saw the opportunity there. But long story short, within the first 2 or 3 months, I was getting no results. I barely got any leads. I was getting incorrect campaigns set up. I won't bore you with all the details, but needless to say, not only did it wind up costing me several $1,000s, $5,000 to $10,000 a month for the first couple months, and then after a while, I started jumping up and down going, guys, what the hell are you doing? I'm paying a premium here for a good agency. And lo and behold, there just was, my business actually slowed down under that agency. It was really catastrophic. So worst part of that was that they actually sold me into a HubSpot program for which they receive commissions. That's definitely HubSpot's model. They have agencies selling you into an expensive technology platform. But I wound up paying HubSpot for a full year. They didn't let me out of their annual contract. And it cost me literally tens of thousands of dollars to work for this agency for about 3 months, plus the ongoing HubSpot fees. And needless to say, it was just not something that I needed to deal with, let alone the stress. The amount of stress that it caused, knowing that I was going to get dinged every month for $2,000 or whatever HubSpot cost. And this is the stuff I'm here trying to help you avoid. So that's just a story I wanted to share with you, and hopefully you can learn from my bad mistakes. So my general take on this about bringing up this idea of an agency trap is I just think that this model is broken. I think that I don't know why it's still this way. It's very archaic. It seems outdated to me, where you get this long-term contract and these retainers and upfront fees, and it's really, their performance really isn't tied to their results, and you wind up paying. If they don't perform, you're screwed. That's the bigger issue here. Let's talk about how to do this a different way, do things a different way, and also some of the ways I'm doing it, and hopefully ways you can benefit from that as well. Okay. Quick intro to me. Again, I won't bore you too much with this, but like I said, I do run a home service business of my own here in Hawaii. I've been fortunate enough to move back here. I grew up here when I was younger, but I bought a home service business. I wanted to get out of the marketing grind, the Zoom calls of a traditional marketing role, and moved back to Hawaii. I love being outside. I love working with clients and meeting customers. And I even honestly like the work itself. I like the physical labor. But I also been doing marketing for a long time. And as I grew my home service business, I realized that this was something that I could start to share with other people now that my business is much more stable and solidified. My background that even led me to this was I've done marketing, been a marketing executive for over 20 years. I'm a US Navy veteran, MBA, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. But I've been around and seen a lot of stuff from marketing. I've built some of the first campaigns ever done on Google. That's how old I am and how much I'll date myself. But using those marketing skills, as I sifted through the agencies and started doing some of this stuff myself, I was able to quadruple my revenue in a pretty short time, which is awesome. I'm still growing, still adding team members, added services, all kinds of stuff I can share with you. But I think that's the difference here, is that I know what it's like to be. I didn't frankly know what it was like to be a home service business owner until a couple years ago. Now I know it very well. I've applied all of my marketing knowledge to my own business, and that's something that I really just felt like I wanted to share. I felt like I could help people not only avoid the problems that I've run into, but also to take some of the systems that I have, and if I can, if given the opportunity, to just bolt them onto your business. I've got killer dashboards, I've got killer technologies, I've got great automations, I've got media buying techniques and tactics, I've got customer service strategies and service and upsell pricing and all kinds of things that I can share. If you're stuck in a rut and you're really looking to break through that growth level to be able to actually grow your business, step back from your business, build more revenue, build more profit. Those are things I've been able to do, and they're definitely things that I want to help. I think I'm able to help you do that. So, like I said, now I'm dedicated to helping other people do the same thing that I've done. And as that, I'm spinning up this marketing agency that I run now. That's called Home Service Ignition. And we can talk about ways how we can help you, or I can help you, because I'm very personally involved with all my clients. But yeah, these are things that I've been able to apply given my background, and things that hopefully can be really useful for you. You've seen the horror stories I just went through before I created this deck, and I just had to go for 5 minutes on Trustpilot. You can see some of the stuff where this one says I spent $8,800 and got $390 in revenue. Another one, you can see you're under a contract, so there's nothing you can do. I canceled my account and they continue to charge me. These are things that as home service businesses, you're dealing with customers or busted jobs or employees that walk off the job, or all the other day-to-day operations of just trying to run your day-to-day business. And these can cause so much stress and really damage to your business, frankly, so that it's just obviously something we want to avoid. Here comes another one. This one was great. It said, damn near ruined my business for 19 years. They said 10 months and $30,000, and we generated 5 leads. I don't think anybody's had, I really feel for this guy, but it says here they had to pay an additional $4,000 just to get released from their contracts. The stories are everywhere. Hopefully you haven't been a victim of one of them. I certainly have, but again, this is just a common practice. And again, I think that's given the idea that the agency model, I think, is really broken. There are good agencies out there, don't get me wrong. I like to think that the service that we provide to people is good. It's not always a good fit, and I'll talk about why, if it's not a good fit, you don't move forward with us. We don't get paid, but that's a separate conversation. It's just the idea of partnering with, hiring a company to create less stress and take things off your plate when they really don't understand the ins and outs of your business is just something it's a crapshoot. It's pretty difficult to figure out how to do that. Okay. So just moving on here, I've got the agency risk here. Let's talk about I mentioned some of this stuff already, but what are some of the risks of actually taking the plunge and hiring an agency? It's a logical thing to do, to want to hire expert marketers, and you need marketing. You're not going to grow your business without good marketing. That's just a given. What are the things you're looking for, and what are the risks you're taking as you're selecting an agency partner? The primary one is if it turns into a thing where you're chasing down their mistakes, or you're hopping on calls to clarify what they're doing, or they're creating ads that don't look anything like your business with the wrong promotions, or prioritizing channels that maybe don't necessarily work for what you need and the level of pace of growth that you want to have. That can be a time waste. That starts to be a time waste. It impacts your business. That's definitely one you want to avoid. We can talk about more. I'll talk about that in other podcasts or other content, but you just don't want people wasting your time. If you're going to hire somebody, just like with any service, you want to make sure that they're helping you and freeing you up and causing less stress, and not just obviously turning things into a fiasco. So the other idea that's pretty common with agencies is the idea of you pay while they figure it out. In other words, we're going to turn on Facebook ads. We don't necessarily have visibility or reporting, or we're going to give these to our junior media buyer or a Facebook media manager or something along those lines. And they're going to spend your money. Now, Facebook, we'll talk about that more specifically and tactically in other videos. or episodes. There is some learning and algorithm stuff that Facebook uses, and you're never gonna put a campaign live and have it immediately killing out of the gates. Although I did hire one media buyer one time who literally had my ads live within 5 days, and we were doing 5 to 10 leads a day at 25 CPLs, and it was fantastic. I don't know why I'm not working with them still, but frankly, like I said, I brought a lot of this stuff in-house, and I'm doing it with my own team that I've been able to train and guide. The idea of it'll get better soon, or Facebook takes time to learn, or we need to test more ads, you're going to see that. And I just think that's a bad premise for a new relationship. If you're going to start with someone and tell them you're going to grow their business and their revenue, it's not just about turning on ads, spending your money or my money, and then figuring it out as you go and taking a month or 2 months or 3 months to get to the bottom of something that's scalable and profitable. So that's something you definitely want to be aware of when you're choosing an agency. It'll take a little time to grow. Don't get me wrong. This is the nature of media buying. Like I said, I've been doing that a long time, but you shouldn't have to waste your money because of someone else's incompetence. That's my bottom line. And I think it's common sense too. Flat fees. This is another interesting thing. Home service businesses have huge seasonality. I'm really lucky because I live in Hawaii, and so I've got 12 months a year of sunshine for the most part, and I don't have to deal with major slow seasons. We've got a steady flow of visitors here in Maui, pretty much 12 months a year. And so I don't have to deal with that as much on my business. But here's the issue. If you have a seasonal business and you are paying flat fees to an agency, let's say an agency charges you $3,500 a month or whatever it is for their Google Ads management, social management, so SEO, all the other services that are out there. What happens when your business slows down? Now they get paid first. They're going to still bill you that fee, whatever it is. And so not having a model that really, again, is respectful of your business and your seasonality is problematic. And so I think the idea of adjusting fees and really understanding your business so that they implement strategies, not just as a list of tasks, but as in a way that really supports those ups and downs, the roller coaster ride of your business. Now, the goal here is obviously to get to a much more fluid state where you are seeing a consistent number of social paid ads or leads. You are seeing a consistent number from Google Ads. You're seeing consistent from organic. You know where your calls are coming from. So you can take a lot of that volatility and that roller coaster approach out of your business with good marketing. But again, I just think the idea of if you have a really lousy month, and it's bound to happen to the best of us, that they just still get their money anyway, I think that sucks. And so I think you should be looking at what their fee structure is and understand it a lot before you get into it. I mentioned earlier just about the idea of slowing your business down. If you've got either an additional expense from an agency that's coming in and limiting your capital or your cash flow in terms of being able to hire new employees or add new services or get new equipment or gear or anything like that, you can think that more marketing doesn't necessarily mean more growth. It has to be the right kind of marketing. That's one of the things I can talk about more in other episodes as well. But the goal here is to get a slow or more steady growth rate where you can expect your marketing to be performing on a regular basis. You know what's coming in, you know how it's performing, you know how those leads that they're getting are converting. And I'm just of the opinion that you can't grow or do any of that without really having good visibility. And I've found in the past that I think agencies intentionally do not show you that. They'll show you some reports and some metrics. I'll talk about what those are and why they don't matter. But that's not growth. Growth is slow, steady, up and to the right, progressive improvements to revenue, to profit, having the cash flow to build your team. That's the only way you're going to get, let's say you're a $40,000 a month small business owner. You're doing a nice job. You're taking home hopefully a decent paycheck. But if you want to get to six figures or multi-six figures or more, you just have got to rely on stable, consistent marketing. And you can't have bad marketing decisions slow down your day-to-day operations in a way that prevents you from growing. So it's just something to be aware of as you're going through and making a choice about how to plug in your marketing strategy that works best for you. And so again, that's something we'll talk a bit more about, some of the tricks of the trade that are used to do that. I put this last one here, which is just really making you doubt your ability to grow. I found myself feeling this way many times. Just, geez, am I ever going to be able to grow this business? And maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And you just get stuck and level it off. Maybe you are that $40,000 a year business and you're just content to be there. But there is more opportunity. You've got a valuable asset. You've got the ability, the team, the skills, the customer base to do a lot more. But you run into these agencies and they tell you they're going to do big grand slam marketing for you. And I've found in myself, it can just hurt your confidence, man. You are sitting there wondering, what do I have to do? I just gave this agency $4,000 a month and I'm still where I'm at. Now all I've got is a $4,000 a month bill to pay. So again, I think that confidence is just really important if you really make the commitment to growing your company, growing your business, growing your revenue, and actually taking that step up from kind of small operator to business owner that really frees up your time, your cash flow, and your profit. You really have to be aware and confident, be aware of your confidence and the steps it's going to take to ensure that you can get where you want to be. So the takeaway here, again, like I said, is really just that it's not just money. Money is important, of course, but we're talking about stress. We're talking about day-to-day lifestyle. We're talking about your retirement. You're talking about your end game for the business. Where are you going to be in 20 years? You're talking about your confidence. So a lot of these things are just really important when it comes to getting the mindset straight to grow your business and to take it where it's capable of going, which I think in most cases is being a home service business owner is massive opportunity. And you can look around at the other guys who are doing multi-six figures a month and you say, geez, how the hell did they get there? Like I said, a lot of it has to do with confidence and mindset. And those are some of the things you definitely want to factor in when you're taking the plunge with an agency, okay? Oops, sorry, I skipped ahead there. So here's a couple little tricks. I thought these would be interesting. Again, things that I've experienced in the past or in my 20-year career, I've seen other agencies do, and they're pretty sleazy. I won't lie that they can be intentionally nasty and really be a detriment to you being able to get where it is you want to go and add a lot of stress for you, like I said. So the number one that I pointed out initially here on this episode is just the idea of this upfront money and long contracts. I'm not saying there aren't agencies out there that don't offer retainers that won't get you results, but my take is just this, is if you are very confident in your skill set and you're this amazing agency that's going to work all these wonders for your clients, then why do you need money up front? Why don't you do the work and then bill me for it? Again, just like we do as home service business owners. I like to go and make sure my clients are thrilled with the outcome. And guess what? We don't send them an invoice until they are raving about us and putting up 5-star reviews on Google. That idea of a retainer doesn't make any sense to me. My opinion is if someone puts a year-long contract in front of you, maybe 3 months, I don't know, I guess that would be palatable. But if someone puts a year-long contract, you just have to ask yourself why. Why should I commit to you before you show me what you can specifically do to grow my business, my revenue, and things along those lines. So those two red flags for me are, in my view, sleazy tactics. In my opinion, if you don't want to work with someone, you should be able to walk away and go work with someone else. So that's one of the things I've seen in the past that I just think is it doesn't make sense. It's not common sense from my standpoint. What I call a dog and pony show, it's an old military phrase if you haven't heard it before, but just this idea where you'll get on reporting calls. Usually those agencies will put you on with a junior account manager and you'll get on every other week or maybe once a month even. A lot of them you'll say, hey, we're getting started here. Can we have a call initially for the first week? And they'll say, we do twice a month. The first month we'll do weekly calls and after that we'll check in once a month. To me, I'm asking why? Why can't you communicate with me as we're getting to know each other, as we're coming up with a game plan for how it is we're going to put all this together and actually create growth? And then the other thing that I'll warn you about is just the idea of, they may show up with presentations about, and you've seen some crazy metrics. First of all, CPL, cost per lead, it's an important metric to know, but how does that matter in terms of what are those leads worth? How many of those leads are turning into jobs? What are those jobs worth? I don't think the idea of these, where are you on the map pack? Do you have a keyword on organic SEO on your position 6 on page 1? Who gives a shit, frankly? I think that the idea of presenting you with these reports on either a monthly basis that aren't tied to revenue, that aren't tied to a broader growth strategy is I don't think it's sincere and I don't think that it's effective at all. So just be wary of those. Sometimes people who aren't as familiar with marketing will look at those reports and say, oh, there's a pie chart with my organic search breakdowns and things like that. That stuff's easy. You should have visibility. You should absolutely have metrics. I'll talk about the importance of that as well. But the idea that some of these bullshit metrics that they're going to show you has anything to do with your revenue, your growth, your close rates, your conversion rates, your profitability, they just don't matter. If your agency isn't talking to you about your revenue and your profit and your cost per sale and all of that, they're just not doing their job. So just be wary of those metrics and those fancy reports that you may get that don't always necessarily equate to anything that's positive or good for you. There's a whole held hostage idea. I think it's cool that Facebook has made it so that if you set up ads with an agency, they get to keep those ads. They did the work, even if you guided them or showed them stuff like that. So there's a way for them to protect their work, which I think is sensible, and I get that. But the idea of an agency coming in and taking charge of your data or your ads or or your Facebook account, or running your offers on their Facebook account, their Meta account, that's just a really bad recipe for disaster. So I'll point out what the importance is of your data, how valuable it is, and why you should be closely involved with the types of ads that are running. I've got a detailed process on how it is I actually set up and test and run and get ads up to scale. But you need to own that, and you need to own every part of your business, and you should make sure that everything they do is yours at the end of the day. So that's another big one. Bait and switch, this is my favorite. Don't get me wrong, every agency is going to have an account manager assign your account at some point. It's just to organize and do day-to-day stuff and communicate with you. You can't be talking to the owner of the business every day. I get that. But one of the things that you'll see is that you're going to be on that sales call with the owner. They'll put bells and whistles and tell you all their awesome stuff and show you some fancy shit. At the end of the day, you are going to be assigned to an intern. One of the things that's always made me an intern, an account manager who may or may not be an intern. One of the things I've seen that just blows me away is that we can get together as a team, and I'm telling the account manager what type of ads I want, what type of video we should use, what type of promotion should be on those ads, what type of discount should we be giving. The way a lot of agencies are set up is that the account manager is then supposed to pass that along to the rest of the team. So don't you think it would be more efficient for me to just initially talk to the people who are going to build the ads that we're talking about? It's just, again, there's an element of it that doesn't make sense. But what I would argue is that it's really due to what the agency needs, not what you need. That what the agency needs is to control their costs and make sure that account manager that's been assigned to you is allocating a certain number of hours to your account. And so that little word of mouth kind of phone game that they play where, I'll let the media buyers know, and then they come back and you get these designs that have nothing to do, or a designer, we get these ads back that have nothing to do with what it was you discussed. It may take 3 or 4 iterations. Now, a good agency will adapt. They'll say, oh, sorry, I got that wrong. Let me pass it through. So I'm not saying that you can't work with an account manager who communicates what you say effectively to the team. But to me, this is just one of the great non-transparencies of agencies. They don't want you to know what they're doing, who is working on your stuff. And there's this little phone game that they play that just not as effective as it could be as if they were really listening to what you need, your ideas, and what you know as the actual owner of the business. Again, just be wary of, here's your account manager. I've had that 100 times, and it's hard to get a hold of the owner. That's a path you don't want to go down. You can expect some junior assistants. Again, not one person is going to do all your stuff, but handing it to someone who maybe is a second-year marketer and he or she is just learning what the hell cost per sale means or attribution means, or pick any crazy marketing term, and they're just there to manage those tasks and make sure they get checked off without really thinking holistically about your business. So something to be aware of. Double dipping, this is what I call. This is something that I just shared with you in my little HubSpot story where they're selling you tools and making commissions on them. That's terrifying. So it's a good thing if they're advocating that you get onto a CRM or a specific type of software or something like that. But I think you should just be really aware and transparent about what it is that the tools you're using, why you're being told to use those tools. There's a lot of really great tools out there right now, everything from video editing tools to CRM stuff and there's so much AI stuff out there. There's a lot of cool things that you can use that don't get me wrong, and you should be getting that advice from them. But the idea of them just taking commissions, especially if it's a year-long contract, without telling you that, to me is just unethical. So that's something that you should be aware of, and it's something that agencies do. I hate to say it, but it's out there. Another thing I'll call out is add-on services, and by that, let's get you started with this plan, whatever it is. Maybe they sell you Google My Business Optimization. And then after a month or so, maybe it's generating a trickle of leads, or maybe they start with paid social media. Who knows what's right for your business? Maybe they pick the right thing, maybe they don't. But lo and behold, you could come into an agency for $1,500 or $1,900 a month. But then you say, hey, I noticed that my email SMS campaigns we could be making a lot of money and doing stuff there. Or I need to be optimizing SEO on my website. Okay, guess what? That's going to be another a la carte item to be added to your monthly invoice. So you can get into an agency thinking you're going to spend $1,500 a month or whatever. But I guarantee you, if you're getting a full suite of services from an agency, everything from paid media, Google Ads, Google My Business, SEO, list marketing, you go down the list, content development, copywriting, design, there's 100 different things that you do need an agency to be able to do for you so you can piece together and implement your marketing strategy. But again, you don't want to all of a sudden be wanting to do things but be limited by that agency because they're just getting you in at a lower price point, and then lo and behold, hey, we could do this other service for you for $500. Or that stuff should all be discussed up front. Again, I'm not saying everybody does it, but it's something I bumped into 100 times, where if you want a holistic marketing strategy that is really tapping into all the different channels available to you, you should know those costs up front and make sure the agency makes them super clear for you. So that's another thing. So again, my idea here is that with all of these tactics, you can tell they're really doing them to ensure that you're getting paid, that they are getting paid, and it's not about results, it's about tasks. It's about what service can we provide. Maybe they get you some results, maybe they get you no results, and maybe they kill it for you. I don't know. Maybe there's some people out there who just, like I said, I've had an agency come out of the gates and just kill it for me right away. But frankly, they weren't doing a lot of the other stuff I want to do. They were just doing media buying, and so I wound up wanting to do some of the other things I just listed there for a more comprehensive growth strategy for my marketing. So just be wary of these tactics. Again, they're red flags, and you should be aware of what they are because they're out there. They happen all the time for sure. This is what I was talking about earlier. Basically, what are the steps we can take to ourselves to look for the right marketing partner, whether it's in-house or outside through an agency or another group through freelancers or everything else like that. And they're in line with the counter to the little sleazy tactics that I just outlined there, which is really, don't do that, do this instead. I talked about owning your own ads, your own data, your own CRM. That's something that's really important. There's a lot more to talk about how to do that and what the importance of that is, but just make sure that you own your assets. And even if you're going to give control of your marketing to another partner, assuming you've checked off all the red flags and make sure they're the right fit for you, remember at the end of the day, it's your business, your ads, your decisions, and they need to support your decisions with things that you think will work or bring better decisions to the table, better ideas. Hey, let's test that idea, but let's roll in this idea as well. Let's compare them side by side, but at least that'll show you that they're thinking specifically about your business and what matters to you on the front lines of what it is that you do. Here's a big one. I alluded to it in some of my other comments about tracking revenue and not vanity metrics. I could show you 100 different reports I've received that'll talk about SEO placement and Google Map Packs and all this other stuff that'll tell you, oh, you're doing so well and we're really kicking ass for you. At the end of the day, if all of those steps and tasks and strategies that they're using aren't turning into trackable, traceable, viewable revenue for you, then again, I just think that they don't have your best interest in heart. So that's something that I really want to advocate, that you need to be looking at. Even if the results aren't good, even if the metrics are bad for you, they don't look pretty, that's the only way you're going to solve them and fix them, is to understand what they are and say, what is my cost per lead, but what percentage of those leads are converting? Do I have the right call center tactics in place? Do I have the right customer service? Do I have the right phone scripts? Do I have the right automations? You could be getting, I mentioned that agency earlier that I was working with, they were getting $25 leads, and kudos to them. They'd be like, hey, this campaign's coming in at a $23 lead. And I said, listen, honestly, I'd rather pay you $30 a lead and have you get me maybe 3 or 4 or 5 more leads a day. And maybe the CPL is a little higher, but those are really good leads. I want more of them, and they're turning into more jobs and ultimately more revenues. Again, that's something that you really need to pay attention to. You should be looking at profitability, job value, average ticket, things that are related to money, not just marketing, fancy marketing metrics like CPC or CPL or any of the other crap. That is not what you need to know. You need to know how their work turned into revenue for you. That's what you need to know. I've got industry experience over here. So again, obviously we see things from a different perspective as home service business owners. There's just so many nuances to this business that most marketing agencies won't understand. There are agencies out there that's focused specifically on home service businesses, which is great. They're going to understand things probably a little bit more. But I would argue that if you haven't really been in the trenches of what it's like on a day-to-day basis with employees that don't show up or botched jobs or who knows, the collecting invoices, all the other stuff that comes along within our day-to-day operations. I think if you are going to pick an agency, you should be picking someone that really is focused on home services. If you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, then obviously find somebody who knows this specific industry, because they'll say to you, oh, we can do that, and we've got a case study here where we lowered CPLs for a plumbing company. They really need to know your business. That's something I would really strongly advocate as someone who's been in roofing, I've been in solar, I've been in my cleaning businesses and things like that right now, that you just see things from a different perspective that you are not going to see if you're sitting there tracking meta ads and, like I said, vanity metrics for marketing. So that's pretty helpful. The other thing that I advocate for is you can build your team in-house. I've got another episode I'm going to do called The Growth Blueprint. This is probably a little bit more for beginners, for people who really are new to marketing and are really early stage, but ready to grow, have a great customer base, lots of 5-star reviews. I break it down into kind of 3 key steps. Again, this is really broad, 90,000 foot view, but I think the 3 things that you really need if you ultimately want to grow are going to be technology and automations. There's so much available, so many tools out there that are awesome and available for you to use that you can take advantage of. But without those, I just don't think there's any way you're ever going to take the next level step up to the type of business that really lets you live your life and lets you enjoy the freedom and makes you more money, makes you more profit, and gives you the reward that you're hoping for, that isn't just getting up and grinding through every week. There's an end game there that I think is really rewarding, and it's not going to happen without technology and automations. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in that episode, or even specifically on specific tactics for technology or specific tactics for automations and things you can do to really make those things work for you. There's so much opportunity there now, it just blows me away. I look forward to sharing those things with you guys. Low-cost lead generation. So I've seen a lot of companies that just are content with word of mouth and referral or flyers or whatever. That's great. Those are very effective things, especially depending on what type of neighborhood you live in. And there's a lot of factors that go into how those kind of old school traditional marketing tactics work. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of volume of leads out there that can really level you up over your competition. And there's a way to take advantage of getting those low cost leads. If you turn on marketing and you're getting $100 cost per leads and your agency says, oh, don't worry, we're going to optimize them and get them down to $50, let's say. Gee, that's great. Now you got $50 leads, but how many of those convert? What if you don't have the process, the technology, or the call center scripts in place to convert those $50 leads into, if you don't put it this way, if you convert half of those $50 leads, you now have $100 cost per customer. So you better be charging $400, $500, $600 average ticket on your jobs. And again, that's a smaller scale business, not like roofing or solar or one of these larger ticket businesses. But you need to understand that there are low-cost lead channels available to you, and how to drive down your overall cost per lead so you can spend more money on more expensive channels like Google Ads or even referrals or paid leads, let's say. But at the end of the day, mixing in both low-cost leads with free leads, things like organic leads and SMS email list marketing leads, that's going to be your ticket to build your overall lead base and get you to where you're scaling, you're just seeing more volume. The hardest part about that isn't really growing the lead base in most markets. It's really, do you have the team, and can your team support that growth? That's probably one of the trickiest things outside of the marketing, to make sure that your infrastructure is set up in a way that's supportive of that lead growth. So anyone can turn on leads all day with with technology, social platforms and stuff. They're out there. It's really about knowing where you're going, having visibility in the metrics, and then again, setting up process in place for your operations to support that growth. And then the other thing that I just advocate, and I did myself for my own business, is that you can come in, and when I bought my business here in Hawaii, it was just a carpet cleaning business. I would say our average ticket was like $200, which makes sense. You go in, you do a minimum job for $150 or $200. You don't want to be racing to the bottom of the price barrel to get customers. I see people at $99 carpet clean. You're just going to get your ass kicked like that. It's just not the way to grow your business. It's just literally eat what you kill, and that's not a sustainable way to grow. So adding other services, adding upsells, if you can start to increase the average ticket, which means every time you go to a visit, the average value of that job becomes $300, $500, $700, $1,000. We do tile work that averages $700 average tickets right now. We do concrete and pressure washing jobs that do $1,000, $2,000. You got all types of different, much larger jobs that you can do, that it's also easier to go set up, work with one client, do that job well, get paid that ticket without having to break down, set up, and go through dozens and dozens of customers just to get the same amount of money. So I actually I had one large property here that we gave a discounted. So I think they were paying us like $120 for a standard carpet clean. It's a big condo over here in Maui, big building, lots of clients, and I just got rid of them because I would rather go do one $1,000 job, let's do my math here, than 6 small, laborious, hard, sweaty carpet jobs at their property at this discounted price. It just didn't make sense to do. Not to mention it's a 6-story building where we're pulling hoses up to the roof and stuff like that. So bigger average ticket, lower cost lead volume, understanding what's going on with your leads and growing that lead base, and then technology and automations to support that all. Again, I'll do that as a separate episode and called the Growth Blueprint that you guys can reference if you want. But those are really the three main things. I think if you have those core elements in place, you can grow your business. I'll add a footer to that, and that would be, again, the operational capacity. Make sure you have the right team, the right equipment. Other than that, if you have these from a marketing standpoint, these are the things you need that allow you to really scale your business like I have, frankly. That's definitely worked for me. I mentioned here, just at any time, part of why I'm here is to help people out. And if you want to book a call and understand this a little bit more in depth, I'm always willing to hop on a call individually with anybody. So there's a way to book a calendar. I'll include a link for that here if you want to book a calendar and schedule a quick call with me. Happy to walk through your specific business needs and talk to you about some of the things that have worked for me and why they're working. So that's just an opportunity that's on the table for you. So let's just talk a minute here about how I solved this. I say we, but it's because there's more people involved here right now than just me doing this. But as I mentioned, a lot of these things that I'm calling out are really based on personal pain points for me. Just, boy, I would not do it that way. I would much rather do it this way. And I went ahead and took my 20 plus years of marketing experience and all the things and systems that I've used to build my own home service business here and really created a blueprint to launch my own agency where we serve clients doing this very thing. Like I said, we're home service first, clearly from our name, what it is that we do, but we're experts in this business. You can probably tell just by the way I'm talking about business, that's probably similar to the way you look at yours. But even if you were choosing an agency outside of anything I can help you with, you always want to be making sure that these people understand the nuance of home service business and what it's like to interact with customers and collect money and show up someone's home. It's a very volatile, sensitive, emotional thing to walk into someone's home and perform a service of every kind. Their home is their sanctuary, and you know what it's like to go in there and from a customer standpoint and have someone come in and provide you with either really good service or really bad service. So that's something that we understand really well. I mentioned technology and automations. What we do here and what I do for my clients is we don't do any of the stuff I talked about until your systems are set up. So what we do for our clients is we set up all of their technology for them, all of their dashboards, all of their automations, all of their everything before we spend $1 on those Facebook ads. Because if you go out and spend that money, those campaigns will be so much more effective if they're plugged into the right instant messages that they get. It'll be immediate ability for you to see which leads are turning into how much money, as opposed to just, we got you 4 leads today and a $30 CPL. That'll be $120 of media spend plus $150 for our fees. You don't know what that meant in terms of the amount of money that actually made you. So again, what we do for our clients is we set them up on us. We invest in your business to set up those systems and those technologies. And the way I do that is just literally by giving you everything I have. We use phenomenal dashboard technology, awesome CRMs. We have all the scripts, the copy, everything's already built. I can literally duplicate those and just bolt them right on your business. So that's something that we do for clients over here. It's much different from what you'll see from other agencies. We do what we call quick wins. So I want to start making money with you as quickly as we can. And so I'm going to identify, we need to talk a little bit specifically about your business and what you need, but I like to identify what the quick wins are. If there's a way to go out and literally turn on things and start generating revenue for you right away, so I'm not spending 2 months figuring out which ad works on Facebook with you on your dime, that's something we always do. We identified that right out of the gates, and within 30 days of setting up during our onboarding process, we're already doing things that are generating leads that are generating revenue. So that quick win concept is very different. It's also tied to performance. It's it's somewhat of a performance guarantee to say, look, we are going to focus on the things that grow your business and make you money before we just start doing tasks that just cost you more money. So that's a problem. We don't do monthly check-in calls. We do monthly calls to go through detailed reports and look at revenue and all the other things that I've been talking about here. But there are some agencies more and more doing this, but we use Slack, which is a real-time communication platform that allows us to literally chat with any of our clients at any given time. So that's something that you could expect from us. I'm available. I see every one of those chats, and I jump in all the time to address issues if needed. If there's something that your account manager or your team can help solve for you, then they'll be there too to help you do that. But we want to be available for you 24/7. Obviously, we're not going to be up in the middle of the night per se, but if you hit us up in Slack, you'll get back to us within business hours pretty much right away. And I just think that's a tremendous difference from these monthly calls that are really designed, in my opinion, for agencies to keep their client management costs low so that their profit remains high. We want to communicate with you. We want to hear with you. We want to respond quickly. We want to fix issues. And we do that through Slack. That's something that works really well. When it comes to fees on our structure, just again, I talked about it earlier about the ups and downs of contracts and retainers and flat fees and no seasonality and all that stuff. What we do is we work on performance basis, so we don't even charge people money. We charge people a percentage of rev share, which we think is very fair. My goal as a business owner is to have my marketing costs be under or around 15% of my overall business. If you're doing that, you can grow very exponentially pretty quickly. That's a good benchmark. It may go up or down depending on the time of year or whatever was working for you at any given time or what services you offer. But if you're running a home service business with 15% marketing costs, that business is going to grow, I guarantee you. And if you can do it consistently, that's really going to allow you to focus on the stuff I talked about operationally, adding the right team members, getting the right equipment, all the other things that you need to do to slowly and steadily start to take advantage of that increased lead volume that we provide for you, okay? And the last thing I said is I practice what I preach. We don't charge contracts over here. Anybody who doesn't want to work with us, you cancel anytime, walk away. I don't want to get paid, frankly, if I don't provide results and share in your success together. I want to be a strategic partner to you. I want to provide my insights and my analysis, both from my prior business background over the past couple decades to the home service things, the specific tips and tricks that work for me, that work really well for me. I want to share them all with you. But if any of that at any point doesn't work for you, just walk away. If I'm not the guy and I don't do what I say I'm capable of doing, then I'm not going to hold you to a contract. I'm not going to charge you. We get paid based on the results that we drive for you. And I think that's a really innovative way to solve what I call this agency trap here. I like to think of us as the anti-agency. Again, in some ways we're an agency, but whether you're choosing another agency or want to work with us or just need help or a consultation or advice, totally up to you. I'm here either way. I love just talking to fellow home service business owners and hearing their insights and what works for them and what didn't. Help you pick freelancers, help you pick agencies. I'm totally here to hop on a call anytime with anybody who's in the same boat as me, because I think we can all lift each other up a little bit. I really do think that being in this business is really rewarding. It's home service business, kind of the backbone of our country, and supporting people in their most personal and private space. And I think it's a really noble work that we do here. So I think that people get up and bust their ass every day and clean floors or bang nails on roofs or whatever it is. They deserve to support each other. They deserve good marketing. They deserve good insights and to share those insights. And that's something I want to extend that offer to you. So that we're here for you if you need us. Like I said, if you want to talk specifically about actually engaging with our agency, you want that expert marketing help, if you want to do yourself, we can talk about that. If you really want to talk about getting something that can give you a holistic strategy, I'm happy to discuss it with you. You can book a free strategy call, my calendar anytime. Again, we'll do a deeper dive. If you're really leaning more towards, I'm at that stage in my business growth where I need an agency to really support me, we can talk about that as well. My goal is really, like I said, I just want to ask questions and focus on your business and understand your pain points and what's working for you and stuff like that. And if you walk away from that call and all you get is some good insights and you still want to apply that to your internal marketing team or hire freelancers, by the way, I'm going to do a podcast specifically on what to do, on how to hire freelancers, what to look for, what not to look for, as well as even if I can share some of the ones I have, the contacts or resources I have that work, I'm happy to share those with you as well. So that'll be in another episode. And again, keep an eye out for other stuff here. We're going to be cranking out a steady dose of these podcasts. Lots of newsletter, lots of social posts. So hopefully a lot of information. If you want to sign up for our newsletter or just subscribe to our channels, follow us on social. Hopefully I'm going to provide much more tactical tips and strategies about CRM, about messaging, about copy. There's 1,000 things that I'll be covering. If you see me in those other places, look forward to seeing you there. Be sure to follow along with that. And like I said, beware of those agencies. Like I said, I've been through and seen all forms of them. I'm not saying there are ones out there that you cannot take advantage of and partner with, and I wish you the best and hope you can find the good ones. But if you need any other insights or you want to do it yourself or figure out a way to solve your marketing so that you can really do the type of growth that you're capable of doing, let's turn your business in. Your business is one of your most valuable assets. Let's figure out how to grow that asset. You should not just be figuring out what slice of pie is left there at the end of the month. You should be thinking ahead. You should be leveraging that business to grow it and position yourself, whether you want to sell it, whatever you want to do with it, whether you want to grow it, make more profit, take more time off. Those are things that are all available to you, of course, but I want to be there to help you hopefully be able to do that. So Thanks for joining in here. We look forward to seeing you in the next one, and good luck with everything. Let's both work together to ignite your business and grow the way you're capable of growing. All right. Thanks so much.